100% of my day goes towards Bakugan.
What do you know about Doom cards, Ventus Knight?
We actually have something interesting coming up with an old fan favorite.
You're still only at 15% of your full power.
Right. Please, you haven't even seen 10. Well, you haven't seen the episode where Lightning talks.
What?
And they said they actually never said that, so I'm not entirely sure how the miscommunication occurred there.
Do they still have internal skeletons?
You haven't been to Vestroya? What if Dragonoid Burger is a delicacy?
Oh no!
If you think you've seen it all when it comes to our plans for Bakugan, you've got some excellent surprises coming your way.
Hi, my name's JettKuso, and today we have a very special thing planned. I am going to be talking to the Bakugan Community Development Manager himself, Ventus Knight. Say hi, Ventus Knight.
I don't say hi, Jett. I actually say, hey, brawlers. Ventus Knight here. How's it going, Jett?
We're gonna be having a conversation. We're going to talk about Bakugan. We're gonna be talking about the card game, tournaments, Easter eggs, the show, new products, cool stuff. Let's just start out kind of simple. What is your job? What do you do for Bakugan?
So I am the Community Development Manager for Bakugan, and what that means for you guys is I'm here to exist as a resource for you. I love to interact with you guys, I love to answer all of your questions, and I love to help you enjoy Bakugan more because I'm surrounded by all these awesome people and I can see everything they're pouring into the franchise. And, you know, it's more than just the brawl, it's the whole Bakugan IP. So I do all our social media, I do everything that you guys see that's facing the public, I have some sort of involvement in, especially, of course, as you guys know, the YouTube videos, or doing a lot of different stuff behind the scenes. It's, I'm not going to say too much about that, but I do crunch a lot of numbers, that's for sure. Sadly, my job can't be professional Discord and Reddit user, but that would be quite nice.
That actually kind of ties into one of my first questions, because I think a lot of people, they hear the term community manager or community development manager, but they don't actually know what that means. So can you kind of run us through what a normal day in the life of Ventus Knight looks like?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is Bakugan was a thing previously, as pretty much everyone watching your channel knows. And Bakugan actually was a thing online too. It came about in around 2008, 2009, where the internet was more public than it certainly was in the very early 2000s, but it hadn't really reached the technological innovation of Discord and stuff. So back in the day, we used these things called forums that some people watching might never have used, but
I was a big player in the old BakuganCommunity.com.
Were you, Mr. Lord Darkest?
That's where I first started going by the JettKuso name.
That's awesome.
And that's where I got my start, is on that community. And then once that went away, aside from YouTube in general, there wasn't much of a hub for Bakugan community people. And the community managers kind of had a lot less of a role. But you seem to have really taken to social platforms like Reddit and Discord to talk to the community and interact with everyone, which is really nice because most brands don't do that. They don't put that level of effort into their fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. Bakugan Battle Planet, it's important to consider, isn't just Bakugan coming back. It's a reboot, and we're taking advantage of everything that Bakugan being in 2019 now can entail. So I try and be everywhere. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, YouTube, and I'm trying to engage you guys in every way that I can.
Is it all you on the different social media platforms? Or do other people sometimes run those?
If someone doesn't sign their name, then it means that it's somebody else who tends to go by Pyrus Paladin, who takes more of a backseat. She's not mainly for Bakugan. I only do Bakugan at Spin Master, right? She does a bunch of other things. So if you can imagine, you know, a percent of your day, right? 100% of my day goes towards Bakugan, but she works on a bunch of different things, so she doesn't have 100% of her day into Bakugan, right? So the majority of the community interaction, especially on Reddit, Discord, YouTube, everything there is pretty much only me. A lot of the Facebook messages and Instagram messages, though, if you send a DM, she might be answering those. I am slowly taking over, though. My influence is expanding. So soon, I believe,
gaining power.
Yeah, it may be close to 100% Ventus Night everywhere. And of course, if you ask for me, even if I don't have a chance to answer something before she does, if you ask for me, I do see all the messages. So I will, of course, answer anything. If you're like, hey, Ventus Night mentioned this in a video, kind of got clarification on that.
You may be 100% of the socials, but you're still only at 15% of your full power.
Right. Please, you haven't even seen 10.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I mean, in case you guys couldn't tell, I'm super enthusiastic about Bakugan that's itself. And, I mean, other things exist besides Bakugan. I've been a big fan of anime, video games, toys, you name it, for my entire life. And, like you said, not every brand does what we're trying to do for Bakugan, which is really take advantage of the fact that we're in 2019, like I said.
I think a lot of social managers, they either try too hard to be totally corporate or too hard to be totally non-corporate in a way that ends up seeming fake.
Right.
Like, you really often come off like just a guy, just a fan yourself who wants to do whatever he's allowed to do for the fans.
Exactly. That's the advantage that we have these days. Like I said, I try not to be too businessy, but ultimately Bakugan are things that you spend money on, and when you get a product, you have expectations for it. You want to know what's going on. You want to have your questions answered. What
actually happens when someone asks you a question? Because I know you get a lot of questions about TCG rulings. Mostly you end up answering questions about TCG rulings. But I know that, like, that's not your job. You didn't design the game.
Right.
So what goes into what happens when someone asks you a question, and what goes into the answers you give?
That's a really good question, because the general process is the same, but the specifics can depend on the question, because I've received questions all around from where do you buy Bakugan to can Bakugan speak, because Krekilios doesn't speak in the anime and I want to know if I can have a conversation with him about his favorite movie. And depending on the question...
I remember the first question I asked you, I asked it on a YouTube comment. What I asked about the robotic-looking Bakugan of the new design, and you gave me an answer that shook me to my very core.
Yeah.
That it's all like an exoskeleton, like armor plating, type situation.
So if you look at a rhinoceros beetle, that's a really good indication of what a Bakugan would be like in real life, and that's something that blew my mind too. Because when I receive a question, like you said, I'm not the one creating this stuff, so the general structure is the same. I receive question, I ask somebody, I get an answer, and I forward that answer to you guys. But the specifics are going to differ depending on the question, because we have our entertainment team that works on the anime, we have our toy team that works on the toys, we have our TCG team that works on the TCG. So, depending on the question that I receive, I might ask a completely different person, and depending on the day, I might get different amounts of details. For example, for Bakugan entertainment questions, I received a lot of those early on, and I got some really juicy answers about that. But then sometimes it might simply be as simple as, when you play a reroll card, you reroll your Bakugan, right?
Right, yeah.
And because of that, because we have this direct link from you guys to me to the developers, now we're saying, oh, for the next version of the rulebook, we're going to make sure that we have something in there. And by the time this video goes up, the rulebook with this will probably be up, so you guys can check on Bakugan.com that says, when re-rolling, reference the rolling phase rules. You know, so that way you know you can't throw your Bakugan at the table to guarantee it opens. It's not something you can do. So not only do I always get answers for all of your questions that you guys ask me straight from the source, whether it be the TCG developers or the anime writers.
Well, that does raise a lot of questions that I think a lot of people are wondering. Because, and I'm not putting you on blast here. Because sometimes you'll give an answer at one stage of the process about a TCG ruling question or something. Because I know something that happened recently was you had said that it was okay to customize your Bakugan as long as you're not trying to change the attribute or you're not obscuring the color scheme or modifying any of the actual physical components. Those are still tournament legal as long as it's just cosmetic.
Yes, all of those rulings I created directly in a full conversation with Tillman, which you guys know, Justin, which you guys know, and Gary, which you guys know. I'm mentioning them because they're people you know, in case you couldn't tell. And we all talked about it, and we're like, yeah, these rulings sound good. Let's put it out there. But then I think you're going to mention something happened. I'm not entirely sure what, but somebody said differently at MomoCon from Spin Master, but I double checked with them on that, and they said they actually never said that, so I'm not entirely sure how the miscommunication occurred there. But
that could have just been someone misunderstood the answer. That kind of thing happens, especially in high profile situations like a con.
Right. It's
really easy to just give a casual answer in response to a question, and someone takes it out of context, or it just was spoken badly in an unclear way, and then it turns into this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that do you ever end up getting bad information from other sources or other places, and it kind of stuff has to be discussed a little bit after the fact?
Spin Master is a company, and companies are just groups of people, and especially like you said, when it comes to communication, sometimes it's like the game telephone that you would play in 3rd grade at the lunch table, right? It starts with the one guy that comes up with it, and he says Dragonoid is a Pirate's Bakugan, and then that goes down to this guy, which goes down to this guy, which goes down to this guy, and the final guy is the guy that I ask. And I ask him, and he goes, Webum is the darkest Bakugan, stuff like that. It's like, oh, that wasn't what he said. I'm just saying something stupid because I can't think of a good example, but it happens. It happens. We do our best. Whenever a mistake is made, we always make sure to correct it. Whenever it comes up that, hey, oops, you made a boo-boo,
I talked about that in my What Makes Bakugan Fun video, where it's like, you guys are so obviously trying your best. You obviously have so much passion for this brand. And it hurts my heart when people are way overly critical or way too mean to you guys. It's no, these guys love it. You guys are doing an amazing job. You can tell when people are just doing a cash grab or just going in for the money, because that's what I expected. I thought, well, okay, Bakugan is going to come back at some point, because at its peak it was the biggest boys toy line in America, billions of dollars or whatever. I was it's gonna come back at some point, but it's probably not gonna be the same. It's probably gonna have an even worse show and an even worse game, and it's just not going to be anything. But then I started seeing stuff from Bakugan Battle Planet, and I was like, oh, this is a real game. This is a real thing. These guys actually care. And then I was like, oh boy, I have to keep doing JettKuso now, because I love this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you can notice is nostalgia is very big these days, and capitalizing it is very big these days. But if you take a look at what we've been doing with Bakugan Battle Planet, from everything to what was developed to how we're marketing it, Bakugan wasn't brought back to capitalize on the nostalgia of the people who liked the original Bakugan.
No, it does that as a result, but that's not what it's for.
Right, exactly. We brought it back because Bakugan's cool, and we wanted to make more of it.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I mean, to some respect, it seems like you guys hadn't quite anticipated as much of the the older audience and the return fan base as you ended up getting, which I think is evidenced by the fact that, like, you know, there's no local game store support yet, because that wasn't what you were going for. I think you were building it to allow it to grow to that game store level and that full tournament level and that older audience.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Bakugan did fantastic back during its original run. When we were bringing back Bakugan, we knew Bakugan's an awesome thing and people are probably gonna love it. But after something's been dormant for 7-8 years, you just can't count on everybody being there when you come back, right? And because of that, we were so blown away. We were so happy to see that, oh wow, all these Bakugan fans coming out of the woodwork as soon as the reveal happens. As soon as we put up that initial Dragonoid The Witness trailer. Trading cards are doing amazing. I mean, everything's doing amazing. But we were very surprised, very pleasantly surprised by the feedback to the trading card game initially, because our plans for the trading card game were, we're going to release Bakugan Battle Planet, we're going to give it a bit of time to simmer and get into people's minds, and then we'll start running LGS stuff, running official tournaments in 2020 once people have had time to get into it. Because when something new comes out, you don't immediately become the biggest fan ever of it unless it's the greatest thing of all time, which I'm not saying Bakugan isn't the greatest thing of all time, but I should probably be a little humble. But Bakugan is a little different since it did exist back then, and people were fans of Bakugan Battle Planet as soon as it came out because they've been fans of Bakugan for years, and that was just fantastic to see.
Some people, it seems like it just came out and people immediately expected it to be at the same level as like other long-running card games and other long-running brands that have been around, you know, for like 15 years straight. It isn't that yet. I totally believe it will be, but it seems like some people are like, oh well, I don't already have 12 people at my local game store playing the game every week, so I'm not gonna stick with it. But it's like, no, you guys are going for the long haul here. You guys are going to keep going until this is a widespread, successful, long-term thing. So, I mean, even just as myself as a fan, I would have to implore people just stick with it.
You know, you make a really good point, because Bakugan isn't something that we're just doing for 6 months, right? Bakugan is something that we're doing for a long time. We are very excited about the future of Battle Planet. I can't say anything about it, unfortunately, but I think that the biggest thing that we can focus on is the fact that we are going to be connecting with local game shops as soon as possible, because it's so important for any card game to get into those. And like I said, the Bakugan Battle Planet TCG is a new thing. I haven't brought this up yet, but the original Bakugan Battle Brawlers wasn't a TCG, while this one is. So we do have to get our foot in the door. We do have to establish ourselves. And now that the game has been out for 6 months, we're going to be looking into how can we get Bakugan not just to you guys, but to you guys and your friends, so that you can have a lot of fun brawling with. Spoilers, we are releasing another TCG set this year, in case you didn't see from Piravian Ultra.
Can you give anything about the potential release time zone for the AA card expansion?
I can't. I'm sorry. That's not something I can talk about. But I will say, when it comes out, there's some wicked cool stuff in there.
Okay, alright, fine, be that way. You talked a bit about LGS support. It seems like, I know you guys were planning to do it for 2020, and it seems to me like when but like recently you said like, okay, we're trying to accelerate towards there and get there a little bit sooner. A lot of people heard that and they thought, oh, so we'll have stuff at game stores out by the next card set, or it'll be 2 months from now. But I imagine that's not quite the case. Like, you're obviously trying, but...
You know, it would be really nice if we could do everything overnight, because if that was possible, then we'd only have to work like 1 day a year. But sadly, making things that are good takes time, and that goes for anything, whether it's a toy or an actual event. So you see that we're at AX, we're at MomoCon, we're at ECCC. We didn't start preparing for that a week beforehand, right? We announced our plans to go there back in December. How long do you think we were planning to go there before we even announced that? So it's very exciting. We love seeing the excitement from you guys, and believe me, we are excited ourselves. However, we do ask for your patience, because we want to make the events that we bring you guys the best that we can possibly make them. But in order to do that, in order to make sure that when we start rolling out LGS events, there isn't anybody saying, I live in Arkansas and we don't have any LGS events going on here. I live in Texas and somehow not a single store has an event here.
Yeah, how about that?
We want to be able to coordinate as many events as possible, and this isn't 20 years ago. This isn't the beginning of TCGs, and we as a company know, Justin and Gary, the designers for the TCG as well, know that there are certain expectations that come alongside TCG events that are being run at local game shops, and let me tell you, we are doing our best to meet those expectations, and we're very excited to see what you guys think of that. So, a lot of people regard our convention presence as Bakugan tournaments. Yeah, there were certainly places that you could come and play Bakugan, and you could compete and you could win prizes. But we've talked before about wanting to do Bakugan tournaments and competitive events, and those were not them. So if you think you've seen it all, and this goes for even beyond tournaments, if you think you've seen it all when it comes to our plans for Bakugan, oh boy, you've got some excellent surprises coming your way.
Someday, hit me up. I can tell you all about Bakugan. I was at the regionals in Dallas. I went to nationals. It was a whole thing. It's a wild story, man.
That sounds exciting. I'm actually interested in hearing about that, because that was kind of still during the dark ages where not every single thing was being archived online, right? You can't access the old Bakugan website anymore. So I'm definitely interested in hearing your stories of the days of yore.
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah.
What do you know about Doom cards, Ventus Knight?
I know that they are not in Battle Planet. And
not yet.
I know that they are not in Battle Planet. Don't get anyone's hopes up. Battle Planet is definitely a reboot. We know that there are Legacy fans out there. I'm not going to say that everything that you guys have seen is everything that we have for Legacy fans, because the fact is that isn't. If you've seen episode 52, then you know that we actually have something interesting coming up with an old fan favorite.
What do you think went into the decision to make Hydroid Aquas in the new series instead of the darkest color scheme from the original? Do you know anything about that?
Don't worry, all of you Legacy fans. Like I said, we know you're out there, and I want you to know for a guaranteed fact, Darkest Hydroid is coming, and he's coming pretty soon.
Oh man, that's gonna be so cool.
But since Battle Planet is a reboot, and Hydroid is no longer necessarily a villain, you think Hydra, you think water. So, I can't speak to what the entertainment team specifically planned when designing his name, but when designing his faction in relation to his name. The kids that are just getting into the series don't know about the old Hydroid, so if they see that he's not necessarily friendly looking, but this friendly multi-headed Hydra guy is Darkest, they're gonna be like, what? I thought he was a villain. So I'm not accidentally foreshadowing any sort of betrayal from Lightning, I swear.
Not all Darkest Bakugan are evil, man. That's a nasty stereotype.
Yeah, I think Lightning's gonna stay a hero.
Good. Oh man, yeah, that's the big arc for season 2. Episode 53, Lightning goes evil.
Well, you haven't seen the episode where Lightning talks.
What?
That is an actual thing that happens. I am not messing with you, and it's the
Oh my
greatest episode.
gosh! Oh man, that is the biggest bombshell of this video. This is something I meant to ask earlier when we were talking about exoskeleton armor on Bakugan. Okay,
Yes.
so if they look robotic because they have like armor plating, exoskeleton stuff on the outside, do they still have internal skeletons?
That was something I asked the anime guys, but I can't remember if I ever got an answer on it.
I need to know that Dragon isn't just all meat inside. He's gotta have bones. It's very important to me on a personal level.
You haven't been to Vestroya? What if Dragonoid Burger is a delicacy?
Oh no!
You go to McDonaldoid and you buy a Dragonoid Burger.
You're gonna make kids cry. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this first part of the interview. We've been talking for like an hour and a half, so there's a ton more footage that I'm going to edit into a part 2. So make sure you subscribe to this JettKuso channel so you know when part 2 goes up. There's a ton of other cool stuff and reveals that you're going to see in that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want news and updates about anything from me. And Ventus Knight, where can they find you?
They can find me anywhere Bakugan Official. So that's on our Twitter, our YouTube, our Instagram, all at Bakugan. On Facebook at Bakugan Official. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But, guys, everything good comes in 2 parts. Jett and Kuso, Bakugan Brawl, and it's a big brawl. So make sure you watch the second part because we've got some really cool stuff in there.
Thank you so much. This has been JettKuso, that's been Ventus Knight, and we'll see you next time.